Jake stood in the colony's empty communication center, staring at the radio equipment. His team had spent 6 hours searching every building, every room, every corner of the settlement. The result was always the same. No people, no bodies. Number. Signs of a fight. Just empty spaces where families used to live. "Captain," Sam's voice crackled over the radio. "I've found something big. You need to get back to the ship right now." Jake looked at Lisa, Ryan, and Alex. They had the same grim expression he felt on his own face. "We're coming, Sam." The team walked back through the quiet streets. Jake noticed a child's bicycle lying on its side near a house. A small helmet sat next to it, decorated with pictures of rockets and stars. Some kid had dreamed of flying to space, and now aliens had taken that dream away. Back on the Earth's Pride, Sam waited for them in the engine room. His red hair was messy, and his eyes were bright with excitement and worry. "I've been studying those energy readings," Sam said. "The alien technology leaves a unique signature. It's like a fingerprint that shows where they've been and where they're going." Sam pulled up a star map on his computer screen. A bright line stretched across the map, starting from Kepler 442b and extending toward the edge of known space. "The trail leads to the Vega system," Sam continued. "Specifically, to a planet that's not on any of our charts. It's about 4 days away at maximum speed." Jake studied the map. The Vega system was far from Earth, in a region where few human ships had traveled. "What do we know about this planet?" "Not much," Beth said, joining them at the computer. "Long range scans show it's big, maybe twice the size of Earth. It has a thick atmosphere and lots of artificial structures on the surface." "Artificial structures?" Alex asked. "Cities, Captain," Beth replied. "Big ones. This isn't some primitive world. We're talking about an advanced civilization." Jake felt his heart sink. An entire alien civilization against one small Earth ship. The smart thing would be to return to Earth and report what they had found. Let the Earth Defense Force send a proper fleet with enough firepower to face this threat. But that would take months. By then, the trail would be cold. The colonists could be dead, or worse. How long to send a message to Earth Command? Jake asked. Lisa checked her communication panel. At this distance, about 8 days for the message to reach Earth, and 8 more for a reply. 16 days total. "Too long," Jake said. "We can't wait that long." Ryan stepped forward. "Captain, we have 43 people on this ship. If that planet has millions of aliens, we don't stand a chance." "Maybe," Jake said, "but we have something they don't expect." "What's that?" Alex asked, surprise. "And the fact that they just made the biggest mistake of their lives." Jake walked to the main communication panel and opened a channel to the entire ship. "All hands, this is the captain. Please report to the main cargo bay for a crew meeting." 10 minutes later, the entire crew of the Earth's Pride stood in the cargo bay. Engineers, pilots, medics, security officers, and support staff. They were young and old, men and women from different planets and backgrounds. But they all shared one thing. They were human. Jake stood on a metal crate so everyone could see him. 2 weeks ago, aliens attacked the colony on Kepler 442b. They took every person there. Men, women, and children. 800 innocent people. Angry. Voices rose from the crowd. Someone cursed. Others asked questions. Jake raised his hand for quiet. "We've found the trail. The aliens took our people to a planet in the Vega system. It's 4 days away. We can follow them." "What about Earth Command?" asked Jenny Walsh, one of the younger engineers. "Shouldn't we call for help?" "Help won't arrive for weeks," Jake replied. "By then, it might be too late for the colonists." Pilot. Carlos Rivera raised his hand. Captain, what if there are thousands of alien ships? What if we can't win? Jake looked around the cargo bay. He saw worried faces, but also determination. I won't lie to you. This is dangerous. We might not come back. But those aliens took our people. They took children from their families. They think humans are weak and easy to capture. Jake's voice grew harder. They're about to learn they were wrong. Chief Petty Officer Diana Cooper stepped forward. She was an older woman with gray hair and tough hands. Captain, my daughter lives on a colony world. If someone took her, I'd want brave people to come after her. Count me in. Me too, said Security Officer Bobby Chun. And me, added Engineer Katie Miller. One by one, the crew members stepped forward. Soon, all 43 people had volunteered. For the mission, Jake felt pride swell in his chest. Thank you, all of you. Now let's talk about what we know. Sam explained the alien technology and the energy trail. Beth showed them the star charts and explained the journey to Vega. Alex talked about the medical supplies they would need. Ryan discussed weapons and tactics. One more thing, Jake said. While we're traveling to Vega, I want everyone to study the colony recordings. Learn everything you can about these aliens. How they move, how they think, what weapons they use. When we reach their world, we need to be ready. The crew spent the next hour asking questions and making plans. Jake was amazed by their dedication. No one complained about the danger. No one asked to be left behind. As the meeting ended, Jake called his senior officers together. Lisa, set course for the Vega system. Maximum speed. Aye, Captain. Lisa replied. Ryan, I want weapons drills every day. Everyone on this ship needs to know how to fight. Already planning it, sir. Sam, study that alien technology. Find their weaknesses. I'll work around the clock, Captain. Alex, prepare for casualties. When we get there, people are going to get hurt. Alex nodded grimly. I'll be ready. As his officers left to prepare their departments, Jake stayed in the cargo bay alone. He thought about the colonists somewhere in space, probably scared, and wondering if anyone would come for them. We're coming, Jake said quietly. Whatever these aliens want with our people, they're not going to get it. They picked the wrong species to mess with. The Earth's pride turned toward Vega and increased speed. Behind them, the empty colony grew smaller and disappeared among the stars. Ahead lay the unknown, and 800 people who needed rescue. Jake walked to his quarters to study the alien recordings. He had 4 days to learn everything he could about humanity's newest enemy. 4 days to plan a rescue that seemed impossible. But Jake had learned something important today. When humans were threatened, especially their children, they didn't calculate odds or worry about danger. They just fought back. These aliens were about to get a very unpleasant lesson in human nature. The horizon moved through space faster than it had ever moved before. Chief Engineer Carlos Rodriguez pushed the engines as hard as he dared. He knew the ship was not built for this kind of speed, but a child's life was at stake. In the engine room, Carlos watched the power readings climb higher and higher. The engines were running hot, but they were holding together. He wiped sweat from his face and kept working. How are we doing, Carlos? Jake's voice came through the communication system. We're pushing it hard, Captain, Carlos replied. But the engines are strong. We'll make it. On the bridge, Navigator Amy Thompson worked on plotting their course through the Hing neutral zone. The space between human and alien territory was full of dangerous things. There were energy storms that could tear a ship apart. There were gravity wells that could trap them forever. And there were automated defense systems left over from old wars. Amy had never flown through the neutral zone before. No human had, at least not officially. She studied every map and every warning message she could find. The path to Sector 7G looked like a maze of dangers. "Captain," Amy said, "I've found a route, but it's not going to be easy." "We'll have two." Pass through 3 energy fields and around 2 dead star systems. "How long?" Jake asked. "If everything goes right, 5 hours and 40 minutes. Dr. Sue Williams was in the medical bay, preparing for the worst. She was the ship's doctor, and she had never treated an alien before. She had studied alien biology in school, but that was very different from actually helping one. Sue pulled up every file the ship's computer had about Cathara physiology. What she read worried her. Cathara had very different biology from humans. Their blood was blue, and their internal organs were made of something like crystal. They needed a special kind of air to breathe, and their body temperature was much lower than humans. "Computer," Sue said, "can our life support systems be changed to help a Cathara child?" The computer thought for a moment. "Modifications are possible, but will require significant changes to environmental controls." Sue began making a list of everything she would need. She hoped they would get to the child in time, and she hoped she would be able to help him when they did. In the communications room, Lisa Park kept listening to Zeph's signal. The child was still broadcasting, but his voice was getting weaker. She could hear the fear in his words. "The air is getting thin," Zeph's voice said through the speakers. "And it's getting cold. I found some emergency food, but there's not much left. If anyone can hear this, please hurry." Lisa felt tears in her eyes. She had a younger brother back on Earth. He was about the same age as Zeph sounded. She could not imagine him being alone and scared like this. Security Chief Rachel Clark was monitoring all the communication channels. She was looking for any sign that other ships knew what the Horizon was doing. What she found was not good news. "Captain," Rachel said over the intercom, "we have a problem. I'm picking up chatter on several alien frequencies. Word is getting out about our rescue mission." Jake felt his stomach tighten. "What kind of chatter?" "The Galactic Council knows we're heading into the neutral zone. They're not happy about it. I'm also seeing movement from several alien fleets. They're heading in our direction." The Galactic Council was the organization that was supposed to keep peace between all the different alien species. Humans were not members of the Council. Most aliens did not trust humans enough to let them join. Jake knew that if the Council ships caught them in alien space, it would be very bad. They might be arrested, or worse. But he also knew they could not turn back now. "How much time do we have?" Jake asked. "Hard to say. The closest Council ships are about 8 hours away, but they're faster than us." As the Horizon flew deeper into the neutral zone, the crew began to encounter the dangers Amy had warned them about. The first energy field they passed through made the lights flicker, and the ship shake. Carlos worked frantically in the engine room to keep everything running. "Come on, baby," he whispered to the ship. "Just hold together a little longer." The second energy field was worse. The ship's systems went crazy for a few minutes. The artificial gravity failed, and everyone floated around until Carlos got it working again. But the worst news came when they were halfway to their destination. Lisa received a new transmission, but this one was not from Zeph. It was from the Cathara government. "Attention all vessels," the official Cathara message said. "Research Station Alpha 7 is declared a total loss. Any ship attempting to approach the station will be considered hostile and will be destroyed. The individual on the station is no longer recognized as a citizen of the Cathara Empire. No rescue attempts are authorized." The bridge fell silent. Jake could not believe what he had heard. "They're abandoning him," Ben said quietly. "His own people are abandoning a child. Why would they do that?" Amy asked. Ben looked sad. "The Cathara value order and discipline above everything else." If Zeph's parents were doing unauthorized research, the government would consider the whole family to be traitors. Jake felt anger building in his chest. How could anyone abandon a child? How could they just declare him not one of their people anymore? It doesn't matter, Jake said firmly. He's still a child, and he still needs help. We're not turning back. The crew worked harder than ever. They all knew that they were not just racing against time now. They were racing against the Kithara, military, the Galactic Council, and anyone else who wanted to stop them. Dr. Sue Williams finished her preparations in the medical bay. She had changed the air mixture and lowered the temperature in one of the isolation rooms. It would not be perfect for a Kithara, but it might keep the child alive. Security Chief Rachel Clark continued to monitor the communication channels. More and more ships were heading their way. Some were council ships, coming to arrest them. Others were Kithara military vessels, coming to make sure no one rescued the child. But there were also other ships. Ships from species that Rachel did not recognize. She was not sure if they were friends or enemies. "Captain," Rachel said, "we're going to have company when we get there. A lot of company." Jake looked out at the stars ahead of them. Somewhere out there was a scared little boy who needed their help. Jake did not care how many ships were waiting for them. They were going to save Zeph, no matter what it cost. The horizon finally reached Sector 7G after 6 long hours. What they found was worse than anyone had expected. Research Station Alpha 7 was a wreck. The station looked like it had been hit by an explosion. Parts of it were missing completely. Other parts were twisted and broken. Captain Jake Martinez stared at the damaged station through the main view screen. How is anyone still alive in that thing? He whispered. Dr. Ben Carter was studying the readings from the ship's sensors. The station is losing atmosphere fast. Hull breach is in at least 6 places. Power is down to emergency levels only. And the life support? Jake asked. Failing. I'd say the child has maybe 2 hours left, 3 at the most. Rescue specialist Danny Foster was already putting on his spacesuit. Danny was an expert at getting into places that other people could not reach. He had saved dozens of people from damaged ships and stations. I can get in there, Danny said. The main docking port is destroyed, but I can cut through the hull near the command section. It's too dangerous, said Lieutenant Kevin Walsh. That station could explode at any minute. Danny looked at Kevin seriously. There's a kid in there. I'm going. Jake admired Danny's courage, but he was worried too. Danny, if that power core goes, you'll be killed instantly. Then I better work fast, Danny replied. While Danny prepared for his spacewalk, Dr. Sue Williams made final changes to the medical bay. She had set up one room specifically for their alien patient. The air was different, colder, and with less oxygen. The lighting was dimmer because Kithara eyes were sensitive to bright light. I've done everything I can, Sue told Jake, but I've never treated a Kithara before. I'm not sure what will work and what won't. Lisa Park was still listening to Zeph's transmissions. The child's voice was very weak now. Is anyone coming? Zeph asked in his latest message. I can hear the station breaking apart. I'm scared. I don't want to die alone. Lisa had to wipe tears from her eyes. Danny, please hurry, she said quietly. Danny left the horizon in a small space pod. He flew carefully toward the damaged station. As he got closer, he could see just how bad the damage was. The explosion had torn the station in half. Only the command section still had any power. I'm approaching the station now, Danny reported. It's worse than it looked from far away. Danny landed his pod on what was left of the station's hull. He took out his cutting tools and began to work. The metal was thick and strong, but Danny's tools were good. Slowly, he cut a hole big enough for him to climb through. Inside the station, the air was thin and cold. Danny's suit protected him, but he could feel how harsh the environment was. Emergency lights flickered on and off. Alarms were beeping everywhere. "Zeph," Danny called out. "Zeph, can you hear me? I'm here to help you." A small voice answered from somewhere deeper in the station. "Who are you? Are you real?" "I'm real," Danny said. "My name is Danny. I'm from a human ship. We came to get you out of here." "Human?" Zeph sounded surprised and scared. "But humans are dangerous. The council says humans hurt people." Danny smiled inside his helmet. "Some humans might be dangerous, kid, but not to you. I'm here to help." It took Danny 15 minutes to find Zeph. The child was in a small room that had been sealed off from the rest of the station. When Danny finally saw him, his heart almost broke. Zeph was tiny. He looked like he weighed maybe 50 pounds. His skin was blue and seemed to glow slightly in the dim light. His eyes were huge and filled with fear. He was wearing clothes that were too big for him, probably his father's emergency gear. "Don't hurt me," Zeph whispered. Danny moved very slowly. He did not want to scare the child more than he already was. "I'm not going to hurt you, Zeph. I promise. We're going to get you out of here and take you somewhere safe." "My parents," Zeph said. "I can't find my parents." Danny's throat tightened. He had found the bodies of Zeph's parents near the main lab. The explosion had killed them instantly. But he could not tell the child that now. "We'll talk about your parents later," Danny said gently. "Right now, we need to get you off this station before it falls apart completely." Danny had brought a small emergency suit for Zeph. It was made for humans, but Sue Williams had modified it as much as possible. Danny helped the scared child put it on. "This feels strange," Zeph said. "I know, but it will keep you safe." "Can you walk?" Zeph nodded. He was weak from days without proper food or air, but he could still move. Getting back to the space pod was the hardest part. The station was shaking more and more. Several times, Danny thought they were going to be crushed by falling debris. But somehow, they made it. "I've got him," Danny reported to the horizon. "We're coming back." Back on the ship, everyone was preparing for their new passenger. But they were also preparing for trouble. Security Chief Rachel Clark had bad news. "Captain, we have ships incoming. Lots of ships. I count at least 12 vessels, and more are coming." Jake looked at the tactical display. The alien ships were forming a circle around them. Some were council ships. Others were Kithara military vessels. A few belonged to species Jake did not recognize. "They're hailing us," Lisa reported. "Put them through." A cold voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, you are in violation of galactic law. You will surrender the alien child immediately and submit to arrest." Jake thought for a moment before answering. "This is Captain Martinez of the Earthship Horizon. We have rescued a child who was abandoned to die. We will not surrender him to anyone. The individual you refer to is no longer a citizen of any recognized government. He is classified as salvage. Turn him over now, or we will take him by force." Salvage. They were calling a child salvage, like he was a piece of broken equipment. "Over my dead body," Jake said. Danny's pod docked with the horizon, just as the alien ships moved closer. Danny carried Zeph directly to the medical bay, where Dr. Sue Williams was waiting. When Sue saw the child, she was amazed. Despite everything he had been through, Zeph was alert and curious. His blue skin had a healthy glow, and his huge eyes looked at everything with wonder. "Hello, Zeph," Sue said softly. "I'm Dr. Williams. I'm going to take care of you." Zeph looked at her carefully. "You're not going to hurt me?" "Never," Sue promised. "Humans protect children. All children." On the bridge, the situation was getting worse. More alien ships were arriving every few minutes. Jake counted 24 vessels now, all of them armed, and all of them demanding that the Horizon surrender. "Captain," Amy Thompson said nervously, "we're completely surrounded. There's no way out." Jake looked at his crew. They were all scared, but none of them suggested giving up Zeph. They knew what was right, even if it meant they might all die. "Lisa, open a channel to all the ships out there," Jake said. "Channel open, sir." Jake stood up from his captain's chair. "This is Captain Martinez. We have a child on our ship. A scared, lonely child who is abandoned by his own people. We will not hand him over to anyone who would hurt him. If you want him, he'll have to go through us first." The response came quickly. "You have 1 hour to surrender the child. After that, we will open fire." Jake looked around his bridge one more time. "Then I guess we have 1 hour to figure out a miracle." With 5 minutes left until Admiral Vex's deadline, everything changed. A massive Kithara battleship appeared at the edge of the system. It was 3 times larger than any other vessel there, and its weapons could destroy entire fleets. "New contact," reported navigator Amy Thompson. "It's the Kithara flagship. They're heading straight for us." Captain Jake Martinez felt his heart sink. If the Kithara government was sending their most powerful ship, they really meant to make sure Zeph never survived. But then something unexpected happened. The civilian ships that had been watching from a distance began to move. Hundreds of unarmed vessels started flying toward the horizon. They positioned themselves between the human ship and the military vessels. "What are they doing?" asked Lieutenant Kevin Walsh. Dr. Ben Carter was studying the movement patterns. "They're forming a protective barrier around us. Those civilians are putting themselves in danger to protect Zeph." Communications Officer Lisa Park was receiving dozens of transmissions. "Captain, I'm getting messages from the civilian ships. They're from all different species. They're saying they won't let anyone hurt a child." The first civilian ship to reach them was a small cargo vessel called Freedom's Hope. Its captain was Nia Ross, a human trader who had been carrying supplies to a mining colony. "Horizon, this is Captain Ross," came Nina's voice over the radio. "I heard your speech. I have 2 kids of my own. If anyone wants to hurt that boy, they'll have to go through me first." More ships joined the protective circle. A passenger liner from the Centauri Alliance, a medical ship from the Trade Federation, even some alien vessels whose species Jake didn't recognize. Admiral Vex tried to order the civilian ships to move away, but they refused. "We are in neutral space," Captain Ross replied. "We have every right to be here." The Kithara flagship finally reached the main group of ships. Jake expected it to start shooting immediately. Instead, it sent a transmission to all vessels in the area. "This is Commander Thrail of the Kithara Imperial Navy," said a cold alien voice. "The individual known as Zeph is a traitor to the Kithara Empire. He and his parents were conducting illegal research into cultural contamination. The penalty for this crime is death." Jake stood up from his chair. "That individual is an 8-year-old child. He didn't commit any crimes. The sins of the parents pass to the children," Commander Thrall replied. "This is Kithara law." Well, it's a terrible law," Jake said. In the medical bay, Zeph had been listening to the conversation. Dr. Sue Williams saw tears running down his blue cheeks. "They really don't want me anymore," Zeph whispered. Sue sat down next to him. "Zeph, sometimes the people who are supposed to love us fail us, but that doesn't mean we're not worth loving. Look at all these ships out there. Look at all these people who came here just to protect you. But I'm not their child. No, but you're a child. And that's enough." On the bridge, the situation was reaching a breaking point. The Kithara flagship was charging its weapons. Admiral Vex was demanding that the civilian ships move away. More military vessels were arriving every minute. Then Zeph made a request that surprised everyone. "Captain Martinez, came the child's voice over the ship's intercom. "Can I talk to everyone?" "All the ships?" Jake looked at his crew. They all nodded. "Lisa, patch Zeph through to all vessels in the system." "You're live, Zeph," Lisa said gently. The 8-year-old's voice filled the speakers of over 500 ships. "Hello, my name is Zeph. I know you're all here because of me, and I'm sorry for causing so much trouble. I want you to know that. I understand why my people don't want me. My parents were trying to learn about other species so that maybe we could all be friends someday. But the government said that was wrong. They said other species were dangerous, and we should stay away from them. But the humans saved me. They risked their lives to help someone they didn't even know. They've been kind to me and gentle with me. They've shown me that the things my government taught me about other species were wrong. I know some of you think humans are dangerous. Maybe they are. But they're the good kind of dangerous. They're dangerous to bullies and people who hurt children. They're dangerous to anyone who thinks politics is more important than doing what's right. I don't want to go back to people who think I should die. I want to stay with the humans who think I should live. And maybe, if you'll let me, I want to help other children who are scared and alone, no matter what species they are." When Zeph finished speaking, the entire system was quiet for a long moment. Then Captain Nina Ross spoke. "You know what, kid? I think that's the best idea I've heard in years." Other voices joined in. Captains from dozens of species expressed their support for Zeph. Even some of the military ships began to waver. Admiral Vex tried to regain control of the situation. "This changes nothing. The child will be surrendered according to galactic law." But Commander Thrall, the Cathara officer, surprised everyone. "Admiral, I have been listening to the child's words. Perhaps our government has been too hasty in its judgment." "Commander, you have your orders," Admiral Vex said sharply. Double quotes, "Yes, I do. My orders are to serve the Cathara Empire. But this child speaks of friendship between species. Maybe that would serve our empire better than isolation and fear." Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. A Cathara military officer was questioning his own government's orders. More and more ships began to stand down. The protective circle around the horizon grew larger as additional civilian vessels arrived. Even some military ships joined the protective formation. Admiral Vex found himself outnumbered not just by ships, but by public opinion. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy. Protests were happening on hundreds of worlds. People everywhere were demanding that the child be allowed to live in peace. Finally, a new voice entered the conversation. It was calm and wise, and it carried the authority of age. "This is Elder Corvash of the Wisdom Council," the voice said. "I have been watching these events with great interest. Captain Martinez, your actions today have shown the galaxy something important. You have shown us that compassion is not weakness, and that protecting children is not just a human trait, it is a universal value." Elder Corvash was one of the most respected leaders in the galaxy. When he spoke, everyone listened. "I propose a new law," the elder continued. "A Galactic Child Protection Act. No child of any species will ever again be abandoned because of politics or law. Every child will have the right to protection, care, and love." The proposal was met with approval from ships across the system. Even some of the council vessels signaled their agreement. Admiral Vex tried one last time to assert his authority. "The council has not approved such a law." "Then perhaps it is time for a new council," Elder Corvash replied. "One that puts children before politics." In the end, the Horizon was allowed to leave with Zeph. The child officially requested asylum with the human government, which was quickly granted. More importantly, his rescue sparked a galaxy-wide movement for children's rights. Within a year, the Galactic Child Protection Act was passed by an overwhelming majority. Zeph became the galaxy's first children's ambassador, traveling from world to world to make sure no child was ever abandoned again. Captain Jake Martinez and his crew became heroes not just to humanity, but to species across the galaxy. They proved that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is care about someone other than yourself. And in a small apartment on Earth, Zeph grew up as part of Jake's family. He learned about human customs and values, but he never forgot his own heritage. Instead, he became a bridge between worlds, showing everyone that families can be formed not by blood, but by love. The galaxy was never quite the same after the day a small human ship answered a child's call for help. It became a little bit more dangerous. Dangerous to anyone who thought children didn't matter. Dangerous to anyone who put politics before compassion. And dangerous to anyone who believed that caring for others was a sign of weakness. It became the good kind of dangerous. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the stars drift by through the main view screen. The ship had been traveling through the Kepler 442 system for 3 weeks now, mapping new planets and looking for signs of life. So far, they had found nothing but empty space and dead rocks. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Dr. Lisa Harper from her science station. She was a tall woman with brown hair tied back in a neat ponytail. Her fingers danced across the control panel as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of strange? It looks like a distress signal. The pattern is unlike anything in our database, but the mathematical structure suggests intelligence." Lisa pointed to the screen where wavy lines moved up and down. "The signal is coming from about 2 million kilometers away. Any visual contact?" Jake asked. Communications officer Amy Rodriguez looked up from her station. She was young, maybe 25, with short black hair and sharp eyes. "I'm trying to get a clear picture." "No, Captain, the signal is weak, but I think I can boost it." The main screen flickered and then showed a grainy image of a ship. It was unlike any human vessel Jake had ever seen. The ship was long and thin, with curved edges that seemed to flow like water. Parts of it were dark, and small explosions could be seen along its hull. "Looks like they're in real trouble," said Security Chief Ben Carter. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from years of military service. "Could be a trick, though. Pirates sometimes fake distress calls to lure and rescue ships." Jake nodded. Ben was right to be careful, but Jake had joined the space service to help people, not to run from danger. "Dr. Harper, what can you tell me about that ship?" Lisa studied her readings. "The design is completely unknown. The materials seem to be some kind of metal I've never seen before. A power signature is off the charts. Even damaged, that ship has more energy output than our entire vessel." "Captain," Amy interrupted, "I'm getting more of that signal. I think I can translate some of it." She worked at her controls for a few minutes. "It's definitely a distress call. They're saying their engines are failing, and they need help." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had been with him for 2 years, and he trusted them completely. Engineer Tony Walsh was busy at his station, checking their own ship systems. Medical Officer Dr. Sam Phillips was reviewing emergency procedures on his tablet. They were good people, and they deserved to know what they were getting into. "This could be first contact with a new species," Jake said. "If we help them, we might be making history. If we don't, we might be letting innocent people die. Or we might be flying into a trap," Ben added. "That's always a risk," Jake replied. "But it's a risk we signed up for when we joined this mission." "Amy, send them a response. Tell them we're coming to help." Amy's fingers moved across her panel. "Message sent, Captain." "Tony, how are our systems?" Jake asked. Tony looked up from his engineering station. He was a short man with red hair and grease stains on his uniform. All systems running smooth, Captain. Engines are at full power, weapons are charged, and shields are ready. Good. Ben, I want security teams on standby. If this is a trap, I want us ready for it. Already on it. Captain, Ben said. Teams 1 and 2 are armed and waiting for orders. The USS Defiance changed course and headed toward the damaged alien ship. As they got closer, the details became clearer. The vessel was huge, at least 3 times the size of their own ship. Strange symbols covered its hull, and parts of it glowed with a soft blue light. Captain, I'm getting life signs, Lisa reported. Lots of them. Maybe 200 individuals on that ship. Any sign of weapons? Jake asked. I can't tell for sure. Their technology is so different from ours that my sensors can't make sense of most of what I'm seeing. As they approached the alien vessel, Amy suddenly looked up from her station with alarm. Captain, the distress signal just stopped. Before Jake could respond, the damaged alien ship suddenly blazed with light. The dark sections of its hull glowed. Bright blue and weapons ports opened along its sides. It's a trap, Ben shouted. All hands to battle stations. The bridge filled with the sound of alarms as red lights flashed. The alien ship fired first, sending bolts of energy that slammed into the Defiance's shields. The human ship shook violently, throwing crew members against their stations. Return fire. Jake ordered. Tony's hands flew across his controls. Our weapons are having no effect, Captain. Their shields are too strong. Another blast hit the Defiance, and this time the shields failed. The lights on the bridge flickered and went out for a moment before emergency power kicked in. Hull breach on Deck 7, Dr. Phillips reported. I'm getting reports of injuries. Captain, they're targeting our engines, Amy said. I think they want to capture us, not destroy us. Jake gritted his teeth. They had walked right into an ambush, just like Ben had warned, but there was no time for regrets now. Can we jump to faster than light speed? Negative, Tony replied. They've damaged our jump drive. We're stuck here. The alien ship moved. Closer, and Jake could see smaller craft launching from its bays. The enemy vessels were sleek and fast, circling the Defiance like sharks around wounded prey. Captain, they're hailing us, Amy reported. Put them on screen. The view screen flickered and showed the face of an alien creature. It had large yellow eyes, blue-gray skin, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, the words came through the translator as rough and threatening. Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your ship. Jake stood up straight and looked directly at the alien commander. This is Captain Jake. Morrison of the USS Defiance. We came here to help you. Why are you attacking us? The alien's lips pulled back in what might have been a smile. You humans are so easy to fool. We are Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire. Your ship and crew now belong to us. The alien ships fired again, and the Defiance's remaining shields collapsed completely. Jake knew they were beaten, but he wasn't going to give up without a fight. All crew, prepare for boarding. This isn't over yet,